So this is the Milwaukee 5-in-1 Fastback multi-tool. I have had this for a while, but I haven't done a review because it went out of stock almost immediately after I purchased it. So I'm hoping that you'll stick around and we can talk a little bit about this pretty awesome multi-tool. Alright, so this is a Milwaukee Fastback, and obviously it does the same fastback motion, but there are some interesting issues with that which we'll get onto later. Let's just first talk about what it is. It's a fastback design, two different types of clip carry, and it has a locking bit driver in addition to a partially serrated blade. There are a lot of advantages to this. First off, let's talk about the basics. The pocket clip works great, and you should be familiar with it if you already own a fastback. But there's a couple little cool additions. One, you have this bottle opener, and when it's locked like this, it's actually quite secure, so you can actually pop a bottle open, and I've tested it, yes. Now, you also notice mine has been modified. I've ground away the metal. This actually has a finger covering, so really the only way to easily open it in that situation is to kind of flick it out like you would a fastback. Now, there is a problem though, and I've noticed this across all the reviews as well as my tool. For some reason, this blade does not drop down. It's actually great. It requires quite a bit of wrist action to get it to actually come out. That's problematic, and I'm not sure why that is. Whether I tighten it or loosen it, it doesn't seem to matter. And I think there's something wrong with the dimensions, either from the blade and the pivot. So I think what I'm going to have to do is actually take it apart and grind out the inside of the pivot hole on the blade very slightly, maybe even with a file, and then I think it should work just fine. But as far as the blade's concerned, I don't necessarily dislike the shape. I think it's mostly a necessity to be this shape because of the location for the bit driver. Now, that being said, I would rather it be curved than this sort of tanto shape. It'll be a little less intimidating, and it doesn't necessarily have to be this long. I think it could be shorter, and you could get a more sheep's foot style blade, and I think that would still make it useful. Now, on the back side is really the thing I want to focus on in this video, because that's what makes it different, right? This bit driver is not magnetic retention. It's actually got a little ring, and you might be familiar with this if you own a Leatherman bit extender. It's very similar. And what that got me thinking, what about Leatherman bits? How do they work? Do they work inside? The answer is absolutely yes. Now, I didn't push it all the way in. Let me get it back in there. There we go. And not just that, when you unlock it, the bits will sit. It's designed with, it comes with a double-sided bit. Now, I don't have that with me right now, but trust me when I say that they do, that it has a pretty solid Phillips flathead that comes with it. And when you have this unlocked, this nice curved surface is excellent for using it. It's directly on the center line. So I would say this is a pretty solid piece, and at the price point, it's pretty much unbeatable. $25. I do want to draw one bit of attention to something I found, and you might already notice that. Look at the tip of this blade. Let me zoom in a little bit. You'll notice that ding right there on the edge of that blade, and if you go inside, you'll see right there that little screw piece. It's actually hitting that. That's a bit of a design flaw. Now, it's possible that the tolerances on my blade are a little bit off, but you might want to check that when you get yours. It's not the end of the world for me because I'm going to grind down the blade anyway, but definitely a little bit of a misstep. For $25 though, it's kind of hard to fault this knife, for sure. I'm very, very happy with it. Even in its current stock orientation, it's pretty awesome. I definitely would recommend this. And as far as the $20 to $25 to $30 price point, I think for a lot of people, this is going to be an absolute perfect addition. So definitely check it out. Be aware of the limitations, be aware of the problems, but the fact that it works with the Leatherman bit kit along with a lot of other functions. It's pretty awesome. I even was able to get a 4mm exchanger in here with the 4mm bit, and it goes all the way to here, and it still fits. It's pretty awesome. It comes all the way to there. So this thing is really, really compact and useful. Definitely recommend it.